Declan Rice, only 8 days after he got his FIFA clearance to play for England, and you've called him up straight away. What's you thinking?
Well, his form warrants it. It's obviously been a well-publicised situation with Declan, and we've tracked him for quite a while. I think they're really big decisions when you're asking a player to transfer association. You've got to be very clear that you feel they have a future with you. That said, there was never any guarantees made to him, because I think that was also important. You've got to be playing well to get in the squad. But his form's been excellent. We like what we've seen in terms of his personality, his character, leadership qualities. Can play as a holding midfield player, and I've seen him play very well as a centre-back. So I think he'll fit very well into the way that we work, and we're looking forward to welcoming him with us next week.
Obviously, he played junior football for Republic of Ireland. He was named yesterday as the FAI's Young Player of the Year. The vote was before he made his decision, of course, but he had strong allegiances to Ireland through his family. How much are you aware of how difficult a decision that was for him?
Yeah, I think it's increasingly the case. If you look at any of our junior age groups now, over 50% of the players have dual nationality. Some can play for more than 2 countries. So increasingly that's a complex decision. It's a complex landscape. I know people are questioning the rules, but at the moment the rules are the only guide we can all work from. And kids are asked to make decisions very young. You know, at under 16 they can play for 2 or 3 countries, no issue. As soon as they play in a UEFA competition at under 17, then they can't transfer unless there's the paperwork is completed, and you only get one chance to do that. So once young boys are capped very young, then it becomes a very complex situation. And some of those situations we've had players transfer to us, and in others like Iwobi, Zaha, Ampadu, players have gone to other countries.
We know that some of the very big clubs in Europe are watching him and monitoring him. We've been told that Manchester City are admirers. In your eyes, how good can Declan Rice be?
Well, I think there aren't many players of his age playing as well as he is in the Premier League. We've actually got a few good young players playing well in the Premier League. So in the end, you can talk about talent a lot, but in the end, mentality often dictates how far players go. What I like about our squad is that there are a lot of players of the mentality that they want to be among the best players in the world, and that's why we have a chance to progress and improve as a team. So how far a player can go is entirely up to them, really. Speaking
of mentality, Tom Heaton's back in, and he's had to be very mentally strong to cope with 6 months out with a shoulder injury. What's he done to impress you?
He's played well. He's had a really consistent run of games. Not such a good afternoon for him at the weekend, but we know Tom, again, he's been a really impressive character to have around our squad in the past. And at the moment is ahead in the battle that Burnley have with 3 good English goalkeepers. So this is a good opportunity for him to come back with us. And you're right, he's had a frustrating period where he missed out on a World Cup and the chance to come to the World Cup with us through injury as much as anything. So it would be good to have Tom back with us.
Where does that leave Jordan Pickford? He's had a tough weekend himself. Is he still your number one? Does he still retain your full faith?
Well, Jordan has played extremely well for us. I think you could look at any of the players across the squad and say they've had moments where they've played well and moments where they've had difficult afternoons, and no question that was the case for Jordan at the weekend. But if I look at what he's done with us, and when you're picking a squad, there's got to be an element of what their players are doing with their club and an element of what they're doing and have done with us. His performances with us have been excellent. So I'm never keen to say this player is the number one and that's it, and this player in that position is our number one choice, because you've always got to have competition for places. But we're pleased with what Jordan's done. We've got to help him through what was hopefully a blip at the weekend. And like everybody else, he's got to train well and perform well.
Another young English goalkeeper that's had a lot of discussion is Angus Gunn. Now, you had 4 goalkeepers in your squad last time. You've only picked 3 this time, so in theory you could have picked Angus Gunn. Were you tempted to do that, especially when we hear from Alex McLeish that Scotland are potentially courting him for the future?
Well, again, I'm not prepared to pick players just to stop the possibility of other countries picking them. So Aaron Wan-Bissaka is playing very well, and he's really pushing to be in our squad. There's no question. I could pick players, give them a cap and stop them playing somewhere else, but I don't think that's right. In terms of Angus, he's just got into the team, so Alex McCarthy is a bit unfortunate to be out of the team at Southampton. And Angus has got a good challenge to get in our under-21s because Henderson is playing extremely well at Sheffield United and is also close to our squad. So there's some good competition for places.
No James Ward-Prowse. I just mentioned that it seemed as though there's maybe some space there, but you didn't pick James Ward-Prowse, a man you know very well from the 21s. He was your captain there. Has he not done quite enough for you?
Prowsey is that we love Prowsey. I've been accused of being father of Prowsey over the years. So he's this most recent spell is his best spell since we capped him before, and he is, I would say, he's a world-class deliverer of set plays. But he's only recently got back into the team at Southampton. I think we've got some midfield players who, as I say, it's not a straightforward selection. This one, we're 4 months from our last game, but you could look at Fabian Delph and say he's not been playing for Manchester City, but he was our best player against Croatia. So trying to balance all of that has been difficult this time, there's no question. But we have qualified for a semi-final in the summer. It would be strange to make huge changes to that squad, but we've added another young player in Declan. And we know that there are some players just on the fringes that we wouldn't hesitate to call in, both in terms of their ability, but also in the case of a player like James Ward-Prowse, his character as well. Again, he is absolutely the sort of character you want around the squad.
Gareth, last one from me for just now. I want to ask you about the Spurs players, because I suspect this has been difficult for you with Dele Alli and Kieran Trippier both in, Harry Winks not in, and yet they haven't played a lot of football because of injury, all 3 of those, and they won't get to play again for their clubs before the Czech Republic game. How much has an issue that been for you?
No, pretty straightforward. The nature of the injuries have been different. Dele obviously started back last week, so we'll have to be conscious when he's with us how we work with him and how much we can use him within the matches. But he's fit and available. Kieran will be fit and available, we believe. So with Harry Winks and Jesse Lingard, we don't think they would get there in time to be able to play at the level for us ahead of next Friday. So they're 2 players that would have been in the squad, there's no question about that. But unfortunately, we'll miss them through injury.
Gareth Dunn from ITV. How much have you enjoyed seeing Marcus Rashford's winter and how he's come on under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Marcus scored 3 goals in 4 games for us, I think, in September, October, November. So for me, he's been playing well throughout, his potential is huge. Again, not just because of his ability, but his mentality. He's another one of those players who wants to be one of the best players in the world and will dedicate himself to that. So I never foresaw a time where Marcus wouldn't be playing consistently well and with confidence. And it's clearly he's scoring freely for his club now, which will give him a lot of confidence. But he was first choice for us in the matches in the autumn and produced really good performances for us.
I've got to ask you about some of the incidents we saw with fans over the weekend, and how shocked were you by them?
Well, you're always disappointed. I played in the late 80s, early 90s, so it's not something that I'm shocked by, because if you look at in any walk of not any walk, but if you go down many high streets in the weekend, unless you're oblivious to what goes on in our country, there are unfortunately scenes of inappropriate behaviour and antisociable behaviour. So to see that inside a football ground is disappointing for us as a sport, but that is a societal problem as much as it's a football problem. I think everybody will want to work together to make sure that the right security measures are in place. But frankly, we should be living in an era where we don't need stewards. You know, why should we need stewards to control a crowd? Really, we should be able to go and watch a football match and behave ourselves. But clearly, some people are unable to do that, and so everybody's got to work together to make sure the environment is secure for players and other supporters as well.
And do you have confidence that that is going to change? Because there seems to be a little bit of a theme at the moment. Obviously, we don't know if that's going to carry on, but
yeah, it's difficult to say. I think some of the punishments that are handed out hopefully will act as a deterrent. But you have to appeal to people that they recognise what is acceptable behaviour in society, really. And the game has become a much friendlier place over the 20 to 30 years I've been involved, for families to come to, for women to come to, for children to come to. And we want that. You know, we want it to be a place where everybody feels that they can bring their family and feel safe and enjoy themselves. So it would be, you know, a huge disappointment if we drifted back to the way the game was in a period when I was growing up, really.
Sorry to sound depressing, but last summer you talked about bringing the country together and the success of England and what that did to bring the country together. We're seeing at the moment that the Brexit seems to rage on, and the country seems as divided as ever. Do you almost think that maybe the Nations League this year could again just bring that feel-good factor back again?
Well, I think generally speaking, people from any country like to get together and celebrate national events. We can't keep relying on the royal family to produce babies and have weddings, so there's got to be other methods of doing that. And if we can provide hope and optimism through our performances, then that's part of our responsibility as a team. So we always want to play in a way that excites people. We want a team that the public are proud to watch, and we hope to play our part. Whether we can resolve all of the issues in our country is a more difficult task.
Okay. One more thing. Is that all right? Sorry, Gareth. I want to ask you about Raheem Sterling. Got the armband last night when David Silva went off. He seems to be showing an increasing maturity and importance even within that football club, and how well they're doing in a team of world-class stars. Has there been a better player in the Premier League for you this season? Is he Player of the Year in the Premier League so far for you?
Well, he's having another outstanding season. I think there are other good candidates for that title. Van Dijk would be one that would be obvious. We're trying to plot a way past him in the summer. So, but he's risen to every challenge. You know, when I look at what he's done over the last couple of years and the competition for places that he's had to fight and fend off, but also I'm so impressed by his maturity and the way that he's spoken out on important subjects and been brave enough to do that. Is showing huge social conscience in certain areas of his life as well. He really is developing into an outstanding role model for young people to follow, and I think that's really something we should all admire in him. The football part has been, the talent has been there. He's been in the first team since 17, and but he's now maturing, and it's wonderful to see.
Last one from me is about the Kosovo game, which the FA announced yesterday will not take place at Wembley. Just going back to a bit what Dan said about the feel-good factor from the summer. I know how you felt the team connected with the fan base right across the country. Is this part of that continuing in your eyes?
Yeah, so it's for me always been an ambition to try and take games on the road if we can. That's not always possible contractually, but there is an opportunity now, and we did that. Our experience at Leeds, in particular, was outstanding. We enjoyed the trip to Leicester, so the opportunity to do that again is great for us. The more there's a real balance. I played in the period where Wembley was being redeveloped, and it was great to go and take the team to different cities. Equally, you're incredibly proud to play at Wembley as an England international. So it would be wrong to say that one is special and the other isn't, but if we can achieve both things, then I think that gives us a really good connection with people.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes the broadcast section. We'll pick up again with the radios. Thank you.